Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Social Media CX podcast, where we talk about all things digital customer experience or CX. Today, I'm joined by the amazing Phil Treagus. Did I do it enough with the,
Yeah,
the
that's
melody?
just enough melody for me there.
Who is a non-diva, I just found out, which is very much appreciated. But he's also a human-first champion, an author, a trust builder, a digital finance and agency guy. And he wrote this amazing book called Human First Marketing, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So, Phil, all of that said, I need to know, what is a day in the life of Phil like?
Are we talking weekday? Because I'm only a non-diva in the week. The weekend is
Okay, let's stick to the week then.
okay. All right. So I'm an early riser. I get up maybe like 5:30, 6 a.m. I just find that first few hours of the day are like it's just gold. They're It's my favorite time of the whole day because everything's quiet. No one's up yet. No one's emailing me. No one's, messaging me. And it's like, I think when you're running a social media agency, the work day is I'm being pulled in all different directions. So
Mm-hmm.
I get up, I make coffee, I feed my dog and my two cats, and then I come up to my office and I work through till around 9 a.m. and try and do things that big project stuff, big thinking things, things that I'm going to struggle to do in the day once everyone's kind of up and running. Um,
Yes.
then I take a little break and have some breakfast and sort of have a shower and just get myself ready for the day. And then the actual work day itself, I mean, it's just chaos. It's just, yeah, there's no
Thank you for being
structure.
honest. I
Yeah.
appreciate the honesty. It's just chaos.
There's no consistency. It's just surviving until 5 p.m. and then I tend to stop at around 5 or 6 and have some dinner. But yeah, I mean, I say chaos. My day looks a lot like this, having interesting conversations, which I love doing, whether it's podcasts or with prospective clients for Giraffe, or working with my team on brainstorming ideas, strategies, sort of human first thinking for our clients. It was for a while a lot of writing, but right now I'm not doing much of that, which is
Mm.
a little break. And then, yeah, in the evening, just kind of chill. I've said to someone earlier today that all of my hobbies make me sound like a 60-year-old man.
Do
I like
tell.
I like gardening. I like
Oh,
reading.
we
Yeah.
have the same hobbies. I say I'm 80 years old on the inside, though.
Oh,
So,
okay. Yeah.
yeah. I, but 60 sounds nice. Maybe I'll start saying that.
Yeah, my mum's somewhere listening to this, been like, "What's wrong with 60?"
Same, same. Welcome to the Social Media CX podcast, where social media meets customer experience and where all fires, no rainbows is the current reality for most brands. I'm Brooke Sellis, CEO of B Squared Media, and I am on a mission to change that. Social media can be the MVP of your CX strategy, and I'm here to show you how. Each week, we'll tackle the challenges of social care head on with candid interviews, real world case studies, and actionable advice to turn your social channels into loyalty building, revenue driving dopamine machines. Whether you're managing customer complaints, trying to engage meaningfully, or just tired of missing DMs, this podcast is your guide to putting out the fires and building the rainbows. So I want to talk about your book and your musings because they're beautiful and I align with them a lot. But you have really called for the death of the marketing avatar and saying that people are not personas. And, everywhere you look, by the way, with social media and marketing, it's all about personas. So I want to know more about that. Like, how does this translate into marketing for you? Like, everybody who's talking about personas, why are they wrong?
Okay. Death of the persona sounds quite dramatic. Obviously was more of a diva while I was writing it. So I think part of this is from over a decade of creating customer personas for marketing strategies. So maybe there's this internal resentment that I'm, trying to get out. But I think that from my experience, customer avatars tend to focus more on demographics,
Yeah.
ages, genders, locations, these sorts of things. And there's benefit to that. I don't think I'm saying that they're not useful, and they're certainly better than doing nothing. But I think that when you sort of reduce a person or your customers down to these sort of really top level demographical sort of data points, you sort of stop seeing them as people. And, I always use the same example, but it's two people who have the exact same age, interests, they live in a similar area, like all these things that kind of match up. And you think, okay, well, these are two people you should market the same to them because they fit into the same bucket. And then you find out that one of them is King Charles and one of them is Ozzy Osbourne. So,
Quite
probably going to
different.
require different marketing strategies. I think that a big theme in the book is treating people as people and really trying to understand what's happening for them on an emotional level, what's happening in their world at the moment, beyond just how old they are and whether they like a certain type of
Right.
music or food or anything like that.
Yeah, behavioral marketing is so important. And I think, tell me a little bit about that. So, when you are creating your personas, how do you help your clients understand and gather insights around those behaviors to create better personas?
So I created a new framework for doing this, and I've called it the Empath framework because I'm a sucker for an acronym. If I can create something and slap an acronym on it, I will. And the Empath framework is the idea of creating like what I call a human understanding map. And it's from 5 sources. So each of the letters stand for something. So the E is the emotional understanding. And you can get that from speaking to people, but one of my favorite ways to understand the emotions that happen for your audience is to look at your reviews, your
Mhm.
competitors' reviews, forums, social media. And one of the best things to do is like copy and paste all of this into a document and then use a tool like ChatGPT and say, give me a word map of the emotions that are coming up the most. So that's a good way to understand the emotions of your audience. And then you have, this is always tricky for me to remember them. M is for market trends. So this is about understanding the context that your audience are kind of in at the moment. So what's
Yeah.
happening in their world. P is for patterns of behavior. So understanding how they make decisions, how do they look at your website, what pages do they tend to use, how many times do they visit the site before they make a decision, what do they engage with on your social media. A is audience feedback. So this is pretty out there, but it's about actually speaking to your customers.
Oh,
I
what?
know, and it's crazy.
Crazy
It's a
talk.
crazy idea of mine.
Yeah.
But it's yeah, it's. I mean, we recently did this for Giraffe, my social media agency. So I spoke to some of our biggest clients and said, look, let's go back to when you picked us as an agency. What did that process look like? How did you whittle it down? Like, were there any red flags about us? Any things that you really liked about us? Just sort of really trying to understand what it is that they were looking for. The T is for team feedback. And again, I think this is an often overlooked element that
Yes.
the marketing department might not necessarily be speaking to the sales department or the customer service department. And
Mhm.
in a big business, the customer service and the salespeople, the people on the front line, if you like, they're the ones who understand your customers probably better than anyone else because they're speaking to them all day. I do a lot of the sales for Giraffe, and I have a really good understanding of what CMOs and marketing managers are looking for and the problems they're facing, and then you combine all of those things that you've discovered and you put it into what I call a human understanding map that goes beyond demographics. So you've got all of those different sort of areas.
I love it. It's so brilliant. And I think, we do some of these things all the time, but we never do. And by we, I'm talking to marketers. If you're listening, sorry. Yes, I'm calling you out. But we never do all of these things all of the time. And
Mm.
I think that's what leaves us in a little bit of a pickle. I was just sharing something on LinkedIn today. It was a report from Gartner that said only 14% of CMOs actually shape the market. Not
Yeah.
just reacting to the market, not just, creating campaigns for the market, but shape the market. And I think if people followed this empath framework, they would do a much better job at perhaps shaping the market.
Yeah. It's so hard to sit down and create a marketing strategy to do something like shaping the market if you don't really understand who it is you're speaking to.
Yeah.
I think it's the most sort of overlooked thing is understanding who am I writing this for? Who am I creating these graphics for, or this video, or what's not so much what am I hoping to achieve, but who am I serving here? Who's the person who's gonna receive this? I've never spent time learning about my customer that didn't feel incredibly valuable.
Let's talk about what happens after this. You have this map. I'm assuming that once you have this map, you have a very well documented strategy that's based on intent because you
Mm.
now understand the customer's intent for this client or this brand. Are there any examples that you can give me that what happens after somebody receives the map and gets to know their customers better?
Yeah, I think it's usually pretty eye-opening. I think most marketers would say, I know my audience. Like, obviously, I know my audience. But so often stuff comes up where they say, oh, I had no idea that they were feeling that, or that they were,
Mm.
looking for this certain thing, or that there's maybe a part of our service that is the thing that really sort of grabbed them and made them want to work with us or buy our product. Or so it's always really eye-opening, and our strategy work that we do with clients, we start with this. This is what we would sort of include as part of our core strategy before we even think about content or influencers or any of these sorts of things. Is let's start by really understanding your audience, and then let that inform everything that follows.
And I'm guessing the results that they receive, like, say if you had someone who didn't use the map and someone who did, I'm guessing the results are starkly different.
Yeah, definitely. Because if you're crafting marketing messages for a really broad audience that you're just basing it on their age or their location, then naturally it's not going to resonate near as much. As the best marketing is when your audience reads it and they think, this was written for me. Like
Mhm.
this is for me. Like, it's like they know who I am, and you're never going to get that perfect, because the nature of humanity is that we're all beautifully different and unique, and that's great. And as a result of that, marketing is never going to be perfect, until we get to the point where we can completely personalize marketing for every individual person, which maybe we're not far away from. Yeah, I think that's the goal, isn't it? It's trying to provide value, and making them feel seen.
Talk to me about once you do get to that content. How do you get people, the audience, the personas, if we will, how do you get them to take action on this content now that you know them so well? You know their behaviors, their desires, their feelings about the product or the services that your clients offer. How do you take them from content to conversation and then from conversation to conversion? What does that look like?
I don't want to sound like I'm just someone who likes to burn down the any sort of practiced marketing techniques, but at the end of the book, I basically say that funnels are stupid and that we should
Mhm.
stop using them.
Diva moment. No, I'm just kidding.
I was going to
I
say, you
love it.
started by saying I wasn't a diva, and I'm just like, that doesn't work. That
Let
doesn't
me
work.
show you how I am. No, I love this. Keep going. Funnels
So
are stupid. Why?
obviously, everyone uses it. If you work in marketing, you know the marketing funnel, and traditional funnels are slightly different, and you kind of have like variations now where you have like the marketing flywheel and these sorts of things. And I didn't know this, but the concept for the funnel was created, I think, in 1898.
Okay, now that is a fact I did not know.
There you go.
Note, we
See?
need to fact check this, but that's pretty
Don't
crazy if
fact
that's
check it.
true.
Don't fact check. Just trust me.
Okay, I trust you.
Just trust me that that's definitely true. So this is a really old technique, and obviously it's changed over time.
Sure.
But the modern consumer journey is anything but linear. It's chaos.
Totally agreed. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Google referred to it in a white paper as the messy middle.
Mm-hmm.
between finding a brand and buying something. And that's because we consume so much media, so much marketing. So, it isn't awareness, consideration, conversion. I know some people tag advocacy on as an afterthought. That's fine. But it it isn't like that. Like we don't consume marketing in that little simple hop, skip, jump, buy product, everything's rosy. Like it doesn't work like that. We bounce around, we listen to a podcast, then we see an ad, and then someone tells us about something, and then we see a billboard, and then we, see a review for something, or there's an ad on TV. Like we are all over the place. And I think it's daunting to try and create a strategy when you know that, because you sort of think, well, how the hell do you plan for that? How the hell do you plan for someone bouncing around multiple touch points in a non-linear fashion? Let me introduce you to my next idea, Brooke.
I love this. Okay. I'm ready.
You'll be glad to know that this isn't an acronym. I call it the Pinball Method.
Uh-huh.
And
I love
this is,
pinball. Uh-huh.
yeah, there you go. So this is, I told this to my team, and my team are so young that they all were like, pinball.
No, they didn't
And I
know what
was like,
pinball was.
do you know what a pinball machine
You need a team outing to like an arcade.
is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyhow.
Yeah. A lot of my meetings with my team are around me explaining how old I am. So the idea of the pinball method is that you flip the funnel on its head. In fact, I'm going to go back. I'm going to give you another reason why funnels suck before I get into this. So when you look at a funnel, I think there's an assumption of gravity, because it's your people at the top and they're going down through the stages. So there's this sort of unspoken gravitational pull that's just taking them through your funnel right through to the conversion. But we know that that's not true, and that
False.
marketing is resisted.
Mm-hmm.
People have ad blockers. People don't want to be marketed to when they're on social media or they're watching their shows. So the reality is that there's actually a huge vacuum at the top of the funnel, desperately sucking everyone back up out of it. And everyone's trying to get out like,
Hey, Brooke here. Quick pause. If you've been nodding along and thinking, wow, we really need to get our social customer care together, I've got you. I have a new LinkedIn Learning course. Yeah, me on LinkedIn Learning. Still not over it. It's called Mastering Social Media Customer Care, Strategies from Million and Billion Dollar Brands, and it's packed with the exact frameworks we use at B Squared to help brands boost loyalty, reduce response times, and actually connect with their customers on social. Because customer care is your brand experience. And this course helps you master that without the fluff. Check it out now on LinkedIn Learning by going to bit.ly/B2LI Care. That's B2LI Care, as in B Squared, LinkedIn, and then the word care. Or just scroll down to the show notes.
So the first thing I do with the pinball method is I flip it on its head so that we acknowledge the gravitational pull. And so at the bottom, that's where we have awareness, at the bottom of the pinball machine. Then rather than consideration, I call it engagement, because for me, especially in a 3-stage funnel, having two that are sales focused seems, I don't
Salesy.
know, yeah, a bit gross.
Yeah, bit gross.
So we scrap consideration and we focus on engaging our audience instead. We keep conversion and we have advocacy above that, which really is what the goal should be. I think too many marketing strategies and campaigns are built on the need for a short-term result. How quickly can we get a sale? How quickly can we get a lead? And what we really need to be thinking about is, how do we develop brand advocates? How do we develop customers who want to keep buying from us? They want to tell people about us. Everyone's sick of hearing about us. Like that's really what the end goal should be. And the idea is that just as in a pinball machine, you had all those little, like, I call them boosters, like little things along the side of the machine
Yeah.
that when you hit it with the ball, it would kind of like propel it
Bing,
back
bing,
up
bing.
and
Yeah.
make little fun noises. And I consider those like tactics. That's where we put our little marketing tactics along the stages. And the goal isn't to perfectly move people one step through the other. the goal is to keep them in play. So rather than thinking, oh, we're going to move them through this linear journey, we install marketing sort of strategies all the way up the funnel so that whereas people fall back down, they encounter more. And our job is to keep propelling them upwards as their gravitational pull comes down. So that's the pinball method. I can't remember what question you asked me.
No, I love the pinball method. Now I'm kind of obsessed
I
with the
sort of
pinball
blacked
method.
out for a moment there. When I talk about funnels, I get really angry. But yeah, so you were talking about conversation and how that goes
Yeah, how do
to
you move to conversion? But I love that you put advocacy and engagement first, or advocacy, then engagement, and then consideration or conversion or
yeah. So awareness at the
awareness. You say
bottom,
awareness. Yeah.
engagement, conversion, advocacy.
Okay. So no, I really love that. And I love that you understand the importance of engagement because there are some social media experts out there who say that engagement is a lousy metric. And I'm guessing, much like me, you wholeheartedly disagree with that kind of rhetoric.
Yes, those people should be shut down immediately.
Well, I mean, it's so true though, because as we're talking about digital CX and specifically right now, social media customer experience, engagement is the most important metric on social. And I'm not talking about like the little hearts or the likes, right? We're talking about, as you said, advocacy. We're talking about people who want to talk to us as a brand on our online channels and bring the brand forward. And through their advocacy and through this word of mouth conversation that happens on social, you get other people who then become aware of the brand. You kind of hit that awareness metric of yours, even though it's down at the bottom. And you meet the algorithm, which they're like the bouncers at the club with the red velvet rope and they're pushing everybody aside and nobody can get in. But like when you treat engagement, deep engagement, as the most important metric, the algorithms love you too, because that signals the algorithm juice. And all of a sudden you start seeing new people come in. So I align with the pinball method. I really like it. I think you need like to create an actual pinball machine that we can use in explainer videos.
When we got the first version of the book back, my editor was like, "This is a big book. Like, this might be too long." She's like, "You've written a lot
Oh,
of stuff here."
oh.
So we were having a conversation about should we take anything out, and she basically recommended I took the pinball method stuff out at the end because she said this is another book. Like,
I don't disagree.
yeah. So yeah, maybe that's the next book. Who knows? But
I think it is. Y'all,
yeah.
if you are watching or listening, I need you to hit Phil up on LinkedIn and be like, Phil, you got to make the pinball book happen. Because I love it. It makes so much sense. But I think we align. So we're the crazy ones out here, talking about engagement as a good metric. Oh, crazy.
Yeah. I refer to it in the book as meaningful engagement. I think that's the most important metric on social is, like you say, not just a passing like, something where there's been a meaningful engagement. And usually, yeah, that's going to be a conversation or they've shared it or they've added to it. That for me is the main metric that any social media strategy should be aiming for.
Yes, we created an engagement quality scoring system that looks at, we call it deep engagement or deeper engagement, but I might have to steal meaningful engagement if
I'll
that's
have
okay.
I'll have my lawyers speak to you immediately about that.
Okay, please have them reach out to my people. Have your people call my people so that I can start saying meaningful engagement, because that's what it is. It means something. Okay, I can keep going on, but I really want to talk to you about human first culture. And there's no secret that everything is all about artificial intelligence right now. A lot of companies, I'm sure you've seen in the news, have tried replacing sometimes entire customer experience teams with robots. Most of them have failed miserably, thank God, because if they succeeded, then I don't know what would happen to this world, but we would all be in really big trouble. So let's talk about that a little bit. How do you maintain a human first marketing mindset when every newsletter, every social post, everything that you see is like, oh, use AI to do this thing?
I think people usually assume that as the human first guy that I hate AI. And it isn't true. Like, I mean, I think everyone uses AI now, most days, and there's some really great uses for it. From a marketing perspective, one of the reasons I felt the book was important to write was because I think as we use AI more, content is going to become more and more homogenized, and
Hmm.
it's all going to look the same. It's all going to sound the same.
Yeah.
So how do you stand out in a world where that's happening? And well, it's the one thing that AI will never be able to perfectly replicate, and that's humans. And I think when businesses speak to me about finding their USP, I always say the same thing, and it's that your team is your USP. Like no other company has the exact group of people that you have. And that's why for me, like having your team involved in your marketing and being front facing and the same with your customers, that's not something anyone or any computer can replicate. So as everyone around you is starting to use AI for more and more things, my advice would be protect the things that you don't need to use it for, because it might ultimately be the thing that makes you a success, because you'll
Hmm.
stand out, you'll be different, you'll be the one zigging when everyone else is zagging.
How do you see AI helping or hurting human first listening when it comes to social listening? And we're pulling in all of this data, and AI is a big part of social listening, right? But
Yeah.
do you see it getting better and helping us more with social listening, or do you feel like it's going to hurt us with social listening?
I think I would draw a distinction between monitoring and listening.
Yes.
So AI is really useful for monitoring, because I would define monitoring as like just basically tracking mentions, keywords, comments, these sorts of things. Whereas listening, I would say, well, monitoring, I say, is what's being said, but listening is kind of why it's being
Why?
said.
Yeah. Yes.
And I think that is the part that AI will struggle with, because there's human nuance in there, and humans are really confusing and,
Yes, we are.
at the best of times. So I think it's a really good example of where AI can help, but where there still needs to be a human element. Like,
Yes.
it would be a nightmare to have to trawl through social every day, track mentions, and there's probably marketers listening to this who that was part of their job, and
Yeah.
it was a nightmare doing it. So well, yeah, yourself included, and me as well. So having something that does that in seconds, bliss. I mean, that's awesome. So
Yeah.
that just frees us up to do things that are more creative or more, like emotion focused with more nuance, like trying to understand the why behind why things keep coming up and why people are saying what they're saying on social.
Agreed. And I think even more so, we're still the solution givers. AI can alert you to like this potential crises that's bubbling up because all of this negative conversation is happening around this product or your brand or your stakeholder, whatever it may be. But like the AI doesn't go, oh, and by the way, here's what you should do to mitigate this. That's what we do.
Yeah.
Right? That we are still the solution givers. So I'm with you. I think it's tremendously helpful. I think as it learns nuance, if it is able to learn nuance, it will get better.
Mm.
But I still think it's not the solution provider. You still need a team of really savvy marketers or PR team, whatever you want to call it, who can mitigate those crises before they become crises, really, like pre-crises, I guess we'll call them.
Yeah, I think a good example of that in action is like chatbots on like any kind of software as a
Hmm.
service pages, where when you first need help and you load up the live chat, almost every time now you're greeted with a chatbot,
Yes.
and sometimes it's helpful, but I think most people just go on there and just keep typing, "Can I speak to someone? Can I speak to
Yes.
someone?" And
Or
I
my
think that's
favorite
because
is,
humans want humans, right? They wanna be
yeah.
able to,
We
yeah.
still want, I mean, maybe that will go away. Maybe the younger, maybe we're old, our little 80, 60-year-old. We're 60. We're 60. Our
Yeah.
60-year-old selves, maybe we're just too old. Maybe the younger people will be like, I don't want to talk to a human. I want to talk to a bot. But I mean, for now, I do feel like it is frustrating. I'll give you an example. I was trying to get some help inside of a tool that I use with the chat bot the other day. And it kept sending me to like the FAQs to go read stuff. And I'll never forget one of my first interviews on the show was with Josh from Organic Valley. Hey, Josh. And he said, never put the work back on your customers. And that's what we do. That is what that chatbot was doing. It was like, oh, I have this helpful chatbot to answer your questions. And then literally the answer to my question was taking me to the FAQ page that I had to go read through. Like, that's not helping. That's putting the work back on me.
Basically a chatbot saying, I don't know, go check this out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Find your own
Well,
answer.
I was going to say something else, but I'll refrain. But yeah.
It's a family-friendly show.
It's family friendly. Is it? I don't know. Phil, what is your final pro tip for everybody who's watching or listening? What can every social team start doing right now? Something that's easy to start doing that can start moving them into a more human-centered marketing mindset.
Yeah. I think the subtitle of the book is The Art of Being Seen, Trusted, and Remembered. And I think start with being seen. That can be the first thing you can do. You know, whether it's you have a personal brand, start putting photos of yourself with your posts, start showing up on videos, start being on podcasts, launch your own podcast, as Brooke a testament for. Be seen. And then, you know, with companies that have teams, get your team involved. Find out how they want to be involved and let them do that. You're going to have people on your team who want to write content, and you're going to have people on your team who love being in front of the camera or love recording, you know, podcasts, or find ways for you to celebrate your team and get them front and center. Because I think in a world where, just like we said with the chatbot analogy, and people are looking for, oh, this is AI, I just want to speak to a person, show them people. Get your team in your marketing, be in your own marketing, so that people can see the people behind the brand, and amazing things happen.
Yes. Yes. I love that answers. Well, before we part, I would love for you to tell everybody where they can find you. Where do you hang out? Where can they find Human First Marketing, the book? And where can they find Giraffe Social resources, website, all that kind of stuff?
Sure. In terms of where I hang out, I very rarely leave my own home. So that would be my first advice. I think LinkedIn's probably the best place, is where I'm most active. I do have an Instagram account, but I'm notoriously bad at keeping it updated. So yeah, hit me up on LinkedIn. The book is on Amazon, hardback, paperback, and Kindle, audiobook potentially on the way when I can find the time to record it myself. Because you can't have a book called Human First and then outsource the reading of it to someone else, can you?
Oh,
So
that would be a little off-brand.
yeah, so I've sort of backed myself into a corner where I'm going to have to dedicate like a few days to reading the book that I'm absolutely sick of reading and writing about.
You can do it.
And yeah, so the book's on Amazon, and Giraffe, you can find us at giraffesocialmedia.co.uk.
Awesome. Those, if you are listening and not watching, those links will be in the show notes. I'm pointing down if you are watching,
She is,
which happen on YouTube underneath this video. So if you're listening, hop over to YouTube and then catch the links to all of these things in the transcript below the video. Phil, thank you so much for joining me today and talking about all the things that I love. I mean, I think it wasn't fair because I align with you on everything. I can't push back on anything. Oh, you know what? I push back slightly. I think you're a diva in all the right ways.
Okay.
That's my pushback.
I'll take it.
Thank you so much for being here. And everybody, thank you so much for tuning in again to another episode of the Social Media CX podcast. We'll catch you next time. Thanks for tuning in to the Social Media CX podcast. If you loved today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who needs to up their social care game.